Hello again, everyone. It's Ariel Helwani being joined once again by Jorge Masvidal coming off his fight on Saturday in Abu Dhabi, UFC 251. Unfortunately, it didn't go his way, but he's kind enough to join us here on this Tuesday afternoon to talk about it all. Appreciate it very much. First off, Jorge, thank you so much for the time and congratulations on a great fight Saturday.
Thank you, my brother. I'm sorry I broke our tradition on Monday, but I was on the plane and stuff trying to get back over here, so it's freaking rough.
No, it's okay. You deserve a day off. I appreciate it nonetheless. It's great to talk to you.
We were trying to keep the tradition going, but literally we got the times and the planes and stuff were weird.
No, I hear you. It's a long travel. So here we are, what, 2.5 days removed from the fight. Obviously, you were upset afterwards. You handled it very well. You faced the music. You went to the press conference. But how is it sitting with you now? How do you feel about the fight 2.5 days later?
I got the same exact fire that there was burning then. I just felt like I wanted to run sprints and just like blow out my lungs. Oh, I could curse.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
yeah, okay, good. I've been being censored this whole time. And I still got that. I woke up yesterday. I wanted to work out, so I did. I went for a nice little bike ride, played some spike ball afterwards, so I got tired. Then I went to the gym today. I got a good weightlifting session in. I got a lot of jet fuel in me, and the only way I deal with this is by working out or eating. I don't want to get fat and stuff again, so I'm gonna go work out a lot and just release my demons that way.
When you say the jet fuel and the demon stuff, is that frustration? Like, do you feel like you need to get that out because
Combo
you're
of
mad?
things. It's a combo of things. It's if I would have done this, if I would have done that, it's a lot of things. And anyways, ultimately just to be in better shape, because the factor, a big factor on Saturday was the gas tank. So I definitely want to improve on that on all aspects of it.
So if I can, I'd love to go to before the fight. You said all the right things. When we spoke on that Sunday night, right? You told us 192, and a lot was made of the 192. But you've never missed weight before, and people who follow MMA didn't really raise too many eyebrows because we're used to that sort of thing. But internally, were you worried about the weight because of the travel and the quarantine and all that stuff? Were you putting on a strong face, but internally, we're questioning it a little bit?
I hadn't cut that amount of weight since I was at 155 pounds. So I was definitely like, oh, it's gonna suck, but I knew I could do it because I've done it. And the older you get, the tougher the harder weight cut you go through. So I definitely knew it was gonna be tough. But I knew what I signed up for, man. I knew what I signed up for. And I had been there, done that at 155 pounds. It was part of the program always to cut a large amount of water at that weight. At 173, 174 pounds on 5% body fat. Once I get down to that low already, so the rest was water to get down to 156. So I used to have tough cuts there. So I was well prepared to make a tough cut, and it was tough. But I got the job done. So I'm proud. That's something when I signed on the contract, I like to make weight. It feels like cheating. I felt like, man, I got 3 pounds to go. Am I gonna break here and not compete for a world title and be a punk? I signed on the dotted line, whether it was 6 days, 6 hours, 6 months. When you sign on the dotted line, your first obligation to yourself and to your opponent is to make weight.
And so how close were you to not making? Like, how difficult was it? You said it was rough on Friday at like the
Yeah,
scrum after the weigh-in.
it was rough. But let me say something from top to bottom, from me and Usman, from to all the way on the preliminaries, every guy, girl, everybody that fought on that card, wow, bravo, applause to them. Not a lot of people know it was rough. We were quarantined in Vegas, quarantined in Abu Dhabi since you got there in hotel rooms, and then fights. Some of these guys and girls were fighting at like 4 or 5 a.m. So they had to fly to Abu Dhabi, get adjusted with the time, and then get adjusted to be at their most alert that they've ever been at like 4 a.m. So hats off to a lot of these competitors, especially the young ones, because I've done this for a while, not to brag, but I've competed in Japan 5 times, South Korea. I've done the overseas. A lot of these competitors might have been like their first time fighting overseas, and they did really well. And I think they handled it amazing. And the card was just stacked from top to bottom. The fights were good. Everybody got their money's worth, I feel. So I just
So
want to give a big shout out to everybody who competed in the card.
were you ever worried that you wouldn't make weight?
I was hurting, but I was never worried, man. I'm a dog. Once I sign that dotted line, I'm gonna make the weight. That I got a reputation to keep.
Mhm. How much do you think, I don't know, maybe you weighed yourself, I don't know, but how much do you think you weighed come Saturday night or technically Sunday morning over there?
I got on the scales 184 pounds. So I put back on about 14, 15 pounds.
Okay. And come fight time, come the time that you were in the locker room, were you feeling okay, or did you still? I mean, the weight cut was obviously draining. Did you feel like you were back to yourself, or were you still hurting a little bit?
I let the world draw the conclusions when we have a rematch. It's all there on papers, and I'm a numbers guy. I'd rather go off numbers and stuff. It's all there on papers. What my body looked like in other fights and in this fight, it's all there, and it's all for the people to say and judge. I feel like I don't have to say it. But obviously I wasn't at my best. I wasn't at a specific fight training. When I got the call 6 days away, I was not in the gym. I was more in the general conditioning phase where I was running, I was lifting weights, I was doing different things. I wasn't in the mat as much. I was in the mat 3, 4 times a week, but my priority was to get in relatively better shape. So more long distance running, things like that. So I wasn't a fight specific training for that until we got the call, and then we started training specifically for the fight. And I did the best that I could. So I don't wanna make excuses. I don't want to take nothing from Usman, because even me on 6 day notice, fighting the world champ, I am a dangerous animal. I'm a effing tiger at all times. And I think you saw that. He it was a battle, it was a fight for real estate, and he won on the real estate side more often than not. He was able to take me to his side of the world and keep me there. So I don't want to take nothing from him, but we'll leave it up to the rematch. I'll let my actions speak louder than my words. I don't want to take nothing from him, and I
Fair.
don't. I'm not the type of guy. I'm not going to sit here and make excuses either. I signed that dotted line. I know what I got myself into. I knew I had 20 hours of traveling that way. I knew it was everything that I had to do. So, next question.
Yeah, I'm not trying to. By the way, I'm not trying to set you up to make excuses.
Nah,
Just
I
trying to
know.
paint the
I know
picture of
what
the
you're doing, man.
experience.
I know what you're doing, man. You know I know.
Um, But so, I'm just curious. In the process, and even come fight night, was there any part of you that ever thought, like, man, if we heard about this fight Super Bowl, right? Like when Dana was doing media, July 11th, we're going to have this. We're talking 5, 6 months ago, and I know you were training a little bit. Then you took your foot off the gas once they went to Burns. If were you ever thinking, if we just would have agreed to this deal from the beginning, I could have had a proper training camp, and none of this would have been an issue? Like, did you find yourself thinking about that at all?
That definitely. That is. I was sitting in the sauna and stuff. Just came to the senses from the start. And you were talking about the pay-per-view numbers and stuff. If I would have took the original deal, this pay-per-view deal would have not been highly beneficial for me, the way they were structuring. It just wasn't. So I had to take a gamble on myself, and I wanted to make sure that the gamble was fine. Don't give me that much guaranteed money, but I'm gonna get paid on the pay-per-view side. If I bring in numbers, I want to be compensated for it. And they wouldn't strike that deal with me the first time. We struck it this time, 6 days away, and we were able to strike the deal. A lot of insane factors, right? Like Corona happened, so the guy gets dismissed 6 days away. But all these crazy things had to happen to get a deal that I felt comfortable with. You know?
When we spoke on the Sunday before the fight, and I asked you about agreeing to the deal, and you're like, "Yeah, you know how it goes. You got to sign a 10 fight deal and all that stuff." However, when I spoke to your co-manager Malki Kawa a couple of days later, he was like, "No, he just signed like a 1 fight addendum. It's not a long-term deal that he signed." Can you clear that up for us?
Uh, we did not sign a long-term deal. Yeah, I'm being told it was for this fight, but not my other contract is still in place. I think so. This is a one-time offer. Yeah, one-time off.
That's probably better for you, right?
Hell yeah, it is.
Did you not know that?
Man, I didn't even know that. I wasn't trying to worry about at that moment already. I was like, am I getting taken care of this right here right now? Can I bet on myself? Can I be brought to the table, not giving scraps? Yes. Okay, good. The rest of the stuff I wasn't trying too much to think about, because I was already thinking what I have to do to cut the weight,
Mm.
what's gonna be the strategy, how should I disperse my energy, things like that. So my mind was already in another place.
Last thing pre-fight related, um, did the time difference mess you up at all? The fact that you were fighting at around 7, 8 AM over there, were you successful in your effort to stay on Miami time, or did you feel a little bit off? And again, not trying to set you up. I'm just curious about the experience, because it's very rare for fighters to fight in the morning like that.
And I think that's a great question. Like I said earlier, hats off to everybody. So I
Mm.
fought in Japan 5 times, South Korea, Russia, um, England. So I have a lot of overseas experience, and I know what that entails. I know what I got to do to get ready. Having to fight to adjust to the time period, and then have your most ready at 8 in the morning. You also have to adjust to that. So I have to be sleeping maybe at a different time. Waking up in the day, getting a little workout, then going back to sleep, so I could wake up at night, like around 1, 2 in the morning, and then stay till like 9 a.m. wide awake, and at like 8 a.m. be my most awake. So we had to play with those numbers and stuff. But everybody on the card had to do that. So I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying what everybody went through. Hats off, because I don't think a lot of people back home know, because everybody had to get adjusted within days.
Mm.
So it's really like a testament to the spirit of the MMA fighter. We're dogs. We're gonna go out there and put on the show no matter what. That's why we're one of the fastest growing sports in the world. We're just unstoppable. I think a lot of regular human beings would not have wanted any part of the madness that took place. Just a big shout out to all my brothers and sisters that were on the card, because they gave it their all, and it wasn't easy, man.
Was a part of the game plan to come out really strong in the first? Were you worried about the cardio affecting you? So almost trying to swing for the fences in the first round to end this early, because it looked like you were definitely very aggressive early on in the fight.
I definitely knew that. I'll put it like this, in terms it could be understood better. I couldn't run the mile at my best pace, let's say, right? So I couldn't do my regular timeouts, but I could run sprints
Mm.
hard and then take a break, like a 400-yard sprint, an 800-yard sprint, and then I would have to catch my breath and then do it again. That was the type of shape that I was more in. So in those spots, I was trying to obviously land the finishing blow. So my blows were coming hard every time I was, unless I was setting something up, I was obviously trying to KO him and then recharge and then try to KO him again and things like that. As to where Usman was ready to run them out. He was able to run them out and keep that pace continuously and keep me off my game and impose his will and take it to his side of the real estate.
Did you think you won the first round?
I was just, the whole time I was thinking, every time, even before the first round, after the first round, I need a KO him. That's the only way I'm going to win.
Mm.
Because even if I'm winning, I might not have the greatest guys in the fourth and fifth round. So I'm just trying to at all times KO.
Okay. When did you start to feel like you were losing a little bit of steam?
Second round, like 2 minutes into it, my legs were like, boom.
Oh.
It was costing me a lot to move the legs a little bit. But it's a fight game, man. I know what I signed up for. It was still, believe it or not, at my most tired, having a man that's a world champion trying to come take my head off. It was still a good time, and I was still had to remind myself, wow, this is what I love to do, and I'm still getting to do it.
Mm.
I'd be grateful. I think this will be one of the coolest stories that I could ever have, maybe, possibly. Just the outside factors of the 6-day notice or whatever. This whole Corona pandemic crap that's going on that we're living through. I got to not only earn a living through this period, but go through some crazy stuff, man. I was stopping in places in the world, and it's a very hostile time, very crazy, weird times that we're living through. So that I got to live through the experience, compete for a world title under these circumstances, I'm just so thankful, man. It was quite the joy.
We saw a couple of headbutts. The cut up here, I think that's your right eye. Yeah, that one. Is that from the headbutt? And if
That that,
so,
that was the first one that
mhm.
they got me, and I got another one right here in the chin. I got some more stitches here. I don't know if this one was from my elbow or punch. It might have been.
How many stitches total?
I think 11.
Okay.
5.
And you mentioned the legs. Is that something that you've felt in the past when you were fighting at 155, like the legs kind of going out on you very early in a fight? And if so, like mentally, what does that do to you?
At 55, it just I didn't have pop, and you could tell once I crossed over to the UFC, I didn't have that stopping power no more. I heard a couple guys, but I didn't have that stopping power. I was more like a second, third base hitter, where once I came back up to 70 and I was able to put in a little bit of size and keep that explosiveness, I'm able to catch guys. And at 55 in training, I would feel good, 4 weeks before the fight. But once it was those last 3 weeks where I was just cutting a lot of weight and not getting a lot of carbs, the power would lose. So that's one decision why I decided to come up from 55 to 70, just to feel closer to how I felt in sparring. You know.
A lot of people online were criticizing him for the foot stomps. Did those affect you at all? There he is. That's
No,
nice.
I have a lot of conditioning. I kick heavy bags all the time. Hit the pads all the time. So I mean, fighter to fighter, we know that doesn't do anything. You're not gonna. I went bike riding yesterday, lifted weights today. That's not gonna stop me from any capacity. You know.
Did he do anything that surprised you or impressed you?
Um, his strength, the way that he could just like, some guys are bam explosive, right, and some guys are this keep that strength the whole time. And he had a good grip strength. And he had a good squeeze right here where he felt really strong, and then he was able to keep it. Obviously, he faded, he started to drop, but he was able to keep it. He was able to keep a good percentage of his strength. A lot of guys start really strong, and as every round goes, it gradually gets weaker. He was able to sustain that strength.
After the fight, you guys embraced and you shared some words, and it seemed like there was love there. Why did you feel the need to do that?
I didn't feel the need to do it. You know, he looked at me. I said something. He responded well. I responded well, and that's it. It just happened. It wasn't planned. I wasn't going into the fight or even during the fight thinking of any of that. You know, it just happened. We both shared an experience here. You know, I said some things. He said some things. That's it. You know.
Do you feel like the beef is over? Like, is there no more bad blood? Because you guys both said it was personal going to the fight. Do you feel like that's gone
I never
now?
said no. I always said it was business. I never said it was personal. But he did cross the line. Yeah, I still believe he crossed the line. But everything to me is just business in this sport, man. Ain't nothing personal. It's not personal with Leon. It's not personal ever with Usman. I said it. I always. It's never personal. It's always business. You know. And that's the honest truth, man.
I
This is
did
how I
see.
make a living. I'm not taking this stuff into the grave. You know.
Right. Do you feel like with him it's over?
No, it's just begun. You know, as far as competitiveness goes, you know, as a person, I respect everybody that gets in that cage. Can't nobody tell me how hard of a life it is more than me. So everybody that gets in the cage, man, woman, child, anything, whoever they are, I respect them. I know what they go through to earn these paychecks. So of course I have respect for him and most of the competitors. 99.9% of them I have respect for, you know.
I saw you briefly talk to Dana in the cage. What did you say to him, or what did he say to you?
We said some things. We'll be having a FaceTime with Dana hopefully soon. Very soon, we're gonna sit down with him, have some words, have a little meeting, a little talking back and forth. See where they're at. You know, he said some good things to me, and let's see. I just want to sit down and talk with him a little bit. You know, pick his brain, see where we're at.
He said earlier today he acknowledged that you are a pay-per-view star. I don't know if you heard those comments, but do you feel like he believes in you now? Do you feel like he wants to be in business with you and promote you and give you what you think you deserve? Like, are you confident of this?
We're we're gonna sit down and talk with him, and we'll know. You know, I'm like I always say, I'm a numbers guy. Actions speak louder than words. We'll sit down and talk with them, and we'll see where they're at, and go from there.
Did you have any conversations with him outside of that cage conversation throughout the week in Abu Dhabi?
No, no, I
Oh,
don't talk to anybody
right. Um,
ever.
I'm sure you may have seen there are reports about the pay-per-view. I don't know what's true, what's not, but Dana acknowledged that it did very, very well. When you see this, what do you think? Obviously, you probably always thought that you were a draw and deserved a lot of money, and you wanted to bet on yourself. So that would suggest that you thought the pay-per-view would do well. But when you see this, is it like sort of like, "Hey, I told you so"? What goes on when you see these reports?
I initially didn't take the fight because I wanted to bet on myself. The structure of it wasn't quite right, right? You know, it wasn't how we wanted it. How a betting man that was betting on himself would get rewarded. So that was the initial nose, you know. So when they came back around, it was different. Some could say I had leverage, you know, I guess, and we were able to strike a deal that was fair to both sides. I feel a little bit more fair to them possibly than me, you know, but it was definitely a much better deal. And now under this how do I say this structure of pay per view, I feel well. You know, if everything comes back as the reports are saying, I feel we did really well. Your boy's going to be compensated, you know, not because I asked for more guaranteed money, nothing, but just the way that we set up the structure. I felt a lot more comfortable with.
If the pay-per-view is in that ballpark, how much do you walk away with? Do you mind me asking?
Um, what is that guy? What's his name? Okay, Darnell. How am I forgetting his last name from Dave Chappelle show? Darnell Rollins, is it? I don't want to say it wrong, and then he murders me. You know, the guy from Dave Chappelle say, "I'm rich." That's all I could say. That guy. I wish I had him right next to me and I could tell him to say it, man. You know.
But you don't want to talk specifics.
Well, no, because we don't even have. We're all on theories right now, right? So it
Mm,
takes 16 to 90 days for those pay-per-view numbers to get back. I'm gonna
okay.
wait till they come back, and then we can have this discussion again. You know,
Okay.
I'm a
Um,
numbers guy, man. Like concrete, solid things.
Fair to say though, the biggest payday of your career?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, buddy. No matter what, yeah, yeah.
When you
It had to
sit
be
down.
worth my while. 6 day notice, Ariel. You know, I'm also a businessman. It had to be worth my while.
Sure, sure, sure,
It
sure.
had to be worth my while. You know.
Do you believe that
Those
you
20
are
pounds, that 20-pound weight cut had to be worth my while. I felt like I had to get compensated for that, you know?
I talked about sort of lamenting the fact, oh, if this would have been done earlier, I wouldn't have gone through the trouble of cutting the weight, this much weight, etc. But do you believe that because of the short notice situation, because of the whole crazy week, that you are now even a bigger star despite losing? It almost feels like the legend has grown even more and people love you even more and are just happy you stepped up and fought for 25 minutes, all this stuff. Have you noticed that you are even more beloved than you were going into this fight?
Well, if if I was going off the fan engagement, the amount of letters that we've been trying to respond back to, I would say, wow, huh, goodness, I inspired a lot. I inspired a lot of individuals. I could say that I got some very touching letters, and we're trying to respond back to them. It's it's crazy, man. When you start the journey, you start fighting. Especially me, I was thinking about providing for me and my family. Never would I think that I could influence so many people in a positive way. Crazy, just doing what I love to do, compete, train for it, compete, and stay true to my sport and to myself. I never thought I could reach so many and influence so many in a positive way, which is something that till this moment right now, just it brings a lot of pride and joy to keep pushing, to keep doing things. I was at the gym today, and it was a photo shoot. And a lot of these kids came up to me. They were young, baseball team, and they were like, "Man, I'm just so inspired." And I'm like, "Hell yeah, you just got to get it, man. You just get after it. Chase your dreams with full dedication." I gave some speeches out without even knowing. I had like 20 kids listen. I'm giving speeches, because they're just asking me about my journey. And I'm like, all right, well, I'll tell you. So I never thought I could inspire so many in a positive way. And that's just a blessing from God. I could
Why
truly
do
say.
Why do you think people have connected to you so much, especially now? Because I mean, if these numbers are correct, Jorge, there's a strong case to be made that you're the number two biggest pay-per-view draw in the sport. And this is year 17 of your career. It's unlike anything we've ever seen, let alone MMA, but sports period. Like usually when you're in year 17, you don't become a megastar. You're usually at the end of the career, you're hanging on, etc. Why do you think you have now developed this connection, this intense connection with the public to where they love you so much? Why do you think?
I'm a dog. A lot of people are dogs. A lot of us, especially the ones that might have failed. They opened up a business and they failed, or they didn't pass that test the first time. They failed, and they said, "You know what? I don't give a f. I'm going to do it again. I'm going to read more books and pass the test, or I'm going to put in more hours and get that promotion." And that's what I get a lot. At least what I could tell you, when people come up to me and they're in a more emotional state, not just so much a picture, and we're like exchanging maybe like a story or something touching that they're telling me that I've done for them in their life. And what they're relating back to me is a lot of times that I get the feedback is the dog qualities. There's not a fight you can find that I quit. Now 6 day notice, I'm not quitting no matter what happens. And I think people really like that characteristic, that I'm a dog. Win or lose, I'm gonna learn from my mistakes. I'm gonna get better, and I'm gonna give you everything I got again. I'm gonna hit the reset button. I'm gonna forget about Saturday. Because if we were to fight this Saturday, I would forget about all those things. Just take the positive things that I could use to fight, and I'd go back at it again with everything I got. And I think that's possibly the favorite characteristic I think I have that people relate. And a lot of people have that characteristic, or want to develop it.
Okay, just a couple more things if I can. You sit down with Dana and he says, "All right, Jorge, who do you want next? What do you want to do? What's the answer?"
It'd be Usman, obviously. It's a no-brainer. Usman, there's could they offer me bigger names that pay me more money? Yes, for a fact. But if it's up to me, Usman, for me stepping up in 6 day notice, and nobody else will, because a lot of people are saying that they would, but who else did it? Tell me, who else really actually asked Dana? Who else was actually like, hey, Masvidal doesn't do it, I'm gonna do it. I'm right here. I'm ready to go. Let's do it. So if it's up to me, yeah, of course, Usman right away. And I don't care if they could offer me a bigger fight or not. I would like to fight Usman.
So Usman over Diaz 2, McGregor,
Mm-hmm.
anyone like that?
You could tell me that McGregor right now would make XYZ dollars, the biggest pay-per-view event in history, right? And I'm gonna get paid forever. I feel I got compensated well enough now that I keep making the right decisions I've been doing, and this money is forever money. So it's not about money. It's about I want that damn belt, and I'm stubborn, and I know I'm better than Usman, and I want to prove it. I wanna fight again. I'm not gonna take none from him. He won the first one. Let's do it again. Let's do it again, and that's it. And after that, then we could start whatever comes next after that. But Usman's the thing that I want the most. The immediate rematch is Usman for me. You know,
Do you think the UFC will be on board with that?
I don't know. We'll talk to them. I'm sure Usman would be on board because this is the most money he's made. You know, his other pay-per-view, and this is just talking numbers, facts. So this is not like to take a shot at him or not, but this is the actual truth. His actual last UFC had similar guys that were on the card now: Max Holloway, Volkanovski, things like that, and same similar formula. I wasn't added to that formula, and that card didn't do that well. I think it did under 300,000, something like that. Now this card does this well. I'm not trying to knock nobody on the card or nothing, you know.
Hmm.
So, but there has to be some recipe that was different from that other card. And if he has a brain, he knows probably some of that credit is due to me. So if he wants to make that big boy money again, come on, you got to run it back. Let's go. So on business, it makes sense, you know. So let's see. I don't know what their management is thinking or what he's thinking, you know, but obviously it's what I want to do.
As you've probably seen, talk of Burns now getting the shot because he was supposed to get the shot. What would you say to someone like him who says, "Hey, you know, the only reason why you got it now is because I tested positive, so it should be me versus
Uh,
Kamaru next."
I'm not gonna be addressing anybody. I care less. Everybody's gonna address me and say things. You know, before the Usman fight, when I didn't take it, remember the thing was that I was scared of him. This guy would crush me immortally. Then I take the fight in 6 day notice. Obviously, I'm not scared of no man. I'm not. I'm not gonna sit here and diss people either. Is Gilbert good? Yeah. Is Leon good? Yeah. Those guys are good, man. But I'm gonna vote for myself. I'm gonna put the money on me. I want to fight. I want to fight Usman next. And they could sit here and be like, well, you only got, like you were saying, because of Corona and this and that. Well, then I could just sit there and go, well, you only got to fight because I didn't want those numbers. You were willing to take a lesson, so therefore you got less. You know, wasn't meant to be though. God didn't want it like that.
Do you want to fight again this year?
Yeah, as long as it's Usman, yeah, be this.
Okay. Do you have a scheduled meeting with Dana?
No, we just made it official, me and you. Somebody
Okay.
will get back to Danny. He's gonna be like, oh, I dodged Masvidal night. What's up, meeting? Don't I got that golf tournament or something? Yeah, he's probably gonna go missing now. I should have just, FaceTimed him first, give him no chance to breathe.
But it is important to sit down face to face with him and talk and clear the air, maybe.
Well, they wanted to do something like that originally before this happened, right?
Mhm.
So I think Hunter, wanted to, was either going to come here or they were going to take me to Vegas after the event, and then all of a sudden I get the call, right? For the fight fell off and this and that. But we were going to have a meeting and we were going to talk again and have a face to face and share our side of the story where we're coming from, and then we're going to, tell me their side of the story.
Are you going to keep talking? You tweeted something about, "Hey, Reebok is done before we knew. We should talk about this." Well, they announced it right before your fight that it's Venom. Like, are you going to keep talking about these things that don't
Def-
only affect you but affect everyone else now
def-
that you still
Definitely.
got paid?
And I think a bulk of the fighters, except the UFC White Knights, will be on board with me, right? Like, what's going on? I want to know what these numbers are. Does it benefit us? When do we start getting a little bit like, hey, hell yeah, I don't like hearing that some top 10 guy, no matter what weight class he is, whether I like the person or not, is having to work a job. I don't want to hear that. That upsets me. None of my brothers and sisters that have already made it to the top 15, and maybe if you're outside the top 15, I don't know where they should be in their pay. But every top 15 guy should not have to have a part-time or full-time or any type of job. They should be able to just do this, concentrate on this day and night, and that's it. So obviously, I'm for the betterment of all, from
Uh,
top to bottom. And it's just the young guys might not understand that, and it takes them a couple of years to understand the system. So with those guys, this might fly over the head. But to the ones that are already, seasoned and stuff and up, they know what I'm talking about.
what did your dad say about the fight?
Uh, I'm his son, right? So he loves me. He's like, he knows what was going on behind the scenes. So he's happy, man, that I didn't get hurt. He loves me and he's very upset. It's a dad love thing. We've immediately cut some things off right away since I got back into town that he wants no longer around me. So he runs a tight ship when I have fight camp. So I didn't have the fight camp now. It wasn't a tight ship, and he's more upset at himself than me in a way that he wasn't running that tight camp, even when I didn't have a fight camp.
Hmm.
I was still training and stuff, but it could be stricter, and he's gonna make sure to do this part. I mean, I had like the very first day I got here, he pulled me aside to the kitchen. We had like a good conversation for like 2 hours and
Wow.
stuff, yeah. And he was a little bit upset. He almost maybe he hugged me, kissed me, loved me, told me how much he loved me, but at the same time he wanted to give me a good one like in the stomach, So it was like, I felt his intensity, man, and he spoke to my soul. He knows how to rile me up. So yeah,
What did he cut off?
I will keep that personal, man.
Okay, fair enough.
That's personal.
By the way, I saw Abe, your manager, holding a phone in between rounds. Could you hear Mike Brown talking to you via FaceTime?
Gibberish from Mike Brown to him, and at times I would hear because there was like people talking in my other ear, people talking in the audience. But Abraham was able to say, and I knew it was Mike Brown. I was trying to focus in, but the fatigue being at like a pretty all-time high, it wasn't my how do you say cognitive skills weren't 100%.
What a statement he put out when he spoke to the media, when he spoke to us about not being out. Did you see what he wrote about being sad that he couldn't be there for you?
Yeah.
It made me emotional reading it, to be honest.
I mean, Mike Brown has we were teammates first, and we started becoming friends, and then he started coaching me, and he's a huge part of the corner. So it sounds effed up even to say to myself, but it's like I wasn't meant to win it because Mikey wasn't there, man. Mikey
Yeah.
either when I win the belt, even though I'm kind of dissing on myself, But yeah, Mikey has to be there, man. He's a huge factor. A lot of people say I have a large skill set, and a large part of that is because of Mike Brown and Mike Brown's brain.
Mm.
Even in striking wise, which Mikey that shows you how much he's learned because he started off as a wrestler, then he became this wrestler that could submit guys, and then he became this wrestler that had a devastating right hand and mixed in with the submissions and good ground and pound. So Mike just kept evolving. He's a better striker now than he was when he was competing. He's always training in the gym. He's always training with my coach in camps. He doesn't stop training, so he'll make weight with me, and then he'll go do pads for like an hour with my coach Paulino Hernandez, and they'll both exchange ideas like, "Oh, look, I've been thinking of this. What do you think?" And Mike Brown will tell him something. He'll be like, "Wow, that's an interesting way, and let's try it like that." And he's constantly in the laboratory, so I think that's why he stays ahead of so many coaches because of his work ethic. He really wants to learn everything. And it's a testament why he's constantly coach of the year. I felt he was coach of the year again last year, but obviously I'm biased, But he had the most highest level names in the sport, So obviously I'm gonna go for Mikey.
Okay, last question. So you've told us about the fight week. You've told us what you want next. You want Usman. You want him later on this year. If it's up to you, you're going to talk to the UFC, and hopefully for your sake, you get that done. My last question to you is, that story of you in the drive-through, and you get the call when you're 19 years old to fight Ray in the backyard, and that's kind of where the legend of Gamebred and Jorge Masvidal is born. If I would have told that young man that less than 20 years later he'd be one of the biggest pay-per-view draws in combat sports, and you would turn into the star that you are today, over 1 million buys and all that stuff, would he have believed me, or has this now exceeded all your hopes and dreams and expectations?
He would have said, "What took him so long?" He would have said, "What took him so long?" It took him a while to get there. I was very dedicated then. Made some wrong decisions and stuff, and it's taken a while. Obviously, it shows now. But yeah, I would have thought it would have came a little sooner in some aspects, skill wise and things like that. Things that I was able to do, guys that I beat early in my career, would have thought the paychecks would have been a little bigger earlier. But it's all coming back with interest now.
Congrats, Jorge. Well done to you. I know that you will be back. Thank you for the very exciting week and the entertaining fight week, and the event. Everything was just magnified because of you stepping up, and congrats to Kamaru as well. It was a fun fight to watch and cover, and I look forward sometime soon seeing it again. So thanks as always, and thanks for what's that?
It's gonna happen, man. You just made it official on your show. It's gonna take off, and that's it.
And thanks for keeping your word about talking after the fight as well.
You thanking me for that? As far as we go back, and it's funny because you're talking about numbers and stuff. After I lost, I've sent you a couple messages. You have me blocked. I got one loss, and now you blocked me.
Yeah, right. I used to be able to text you direct, but now I have to go through your handlers.
They haven't been getting in. I think you blocked my ass, huh?
Yeah, right. Not me.
This what happens when you lose a fight, man. These guys, I tell you, man.
Thank you, Jorge.
Thank you, my brother.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.